Good morning, Grumpy Grillers. Today we're going to be doing a pastrami on the KLOSE pit. We've been brining the brisket for 6 days. We're going to pop it on the cooker for a few hours, and hopefully at the end, the recipe knocks your socks off. So, let's get after it. There, good job. Okay, so we're going to take this pile of ingredients here, and this is what we're going to use to make the brine for the pastrami. We've got red pepper flakes, whole cloves, bay leaves, cinnamon, coriander seed, allspice, ground mace, black pepper, mustard seed, and that's it. What we're going to do is toast the coriander, the pepper, and the mustard in a dry skillet until it's toasted. Then we're going to crush them in a mortar pestle, and then we're going to throw all the spices into the briner bucket with a gallon of water and some pink curing salt, and we're going to brine the brisket for 6 days before we throw it on the smoker. Okay, so this is heating up. Not quite there yet. And what I'm going to do is just dump these in there, roll them around until they're toasted, fragrant, and then what we're going to do is we're going to wrap them in a cloth somewhere. I'll find a dish towel, and I'm going to crush them. Or what we could do, since I have a mortar and pestle that I never use, we'll crush them in this. So, I've never done this before, so I don't know how much further I'm going to take these. But they have darkened up quite a bit. Okay, so I've got a teaspoon ground cinnamon, a teaspoon ground mace and a teaspoon ground ginger in this dish. And then I've got a tablespoon of allspice berries and a tablespoon of cloves in this dish. I'm going to crush one of these cinnamon sticks. Here. Just gently crush one. That's going to go in our mix as well. Broke most of these open. Now, I'm going to mix all this together, and this is going to be my pickling spice. So the big ingredient for pastrami is going to be the curing salt. That's what gives it its color. I ordered this on Amazon. You can also get it from the Spice House. That's where I've been getting most of my spices. I don't know. This is from the Spice Lab. It is pink curing salt #1. I know Morton has one, and I can't remember what the name of it is. But you want pink curing salt because that's what's going to give it its flavor. Okay. So all we're going to do is bring this water to a boil. And then we're going to throw all of this right into the gallon of water we have here. So this is a prime brisket flat that I got from Haltman Family Meats. I ordered 4 of these. I thought I was ordering 6-pound briskets or 8-pound briskets, but instead I ordered the flat. So I've never actually cooked a flat all by itself, so I'm interested to try. All their meat ships fresh. This one I had froze, and hopefully it's still good. So like I was saying, all their meat ships fresh. I froze this one and then I took it out, and it took me a little longer to get my ingredients situated. But this is a nice brisket flat. You can see the fat even in the flat. I mean, that's going to be pretty tasty pastrami. It's got about a 1/2 inch of fat cap on it, so I am not going to touch it. I'm going to leave that just like it is. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to score it so that we can get seasoning in underneath, and then when I do the rub before I put it on the smoker, it'll stick to this side and it'll stick to that side, so it'll give it a nice texture when I put it on a sandwich. So all I'm going to do is score fat cap. So what you get is these little gaps in the fat cap where the brine will penetrate, and then as you cook it, all your seasonings will go down into these cracks. So that's all I'm going to do this. I'm not even going to trim it. That's how it came from Haltman. I mean, there's a little bit of fat there. You could take that out of there, but I'm going to leave it because I've never done this before, and that's going to give me a little bit of a margin of error as this cooks. So this is all ready to go, and then once the brine has cooled down, we will throw it in the briner bucket and we'll put it in the fridge for 6 days. So, okay, so we got our prime brisket here. What we're going to do is we're going to dunk it in the brine. It's about 100 degrees now. I cooled it off as best I could. Effectively what I did was stuff it in the freezer. So I'm going to give it a quick stir. Make sure everything's properly mixed in here. And I'm going to see if we're going to overload this mini briner bucket. I think we'll have plenty of room, but let's see. Yep, so so we're a little over full, which isn't terrible. What I can do is get a measuring cup and take a little out. And I'll grab my plate, push the brisket underneath. So now the brisket's fully submerged. Just like that. Put the top on it. Now we're going to put it in the fridge, and it's going to sit there for 6 days. Okay, so I'm going to get this brisket out of our brine, and I'm going to rinse it off with cold water. Normally I don't rinse off the meat in the sink, but this has been brining for 6 days, and I want to get the excess salt off of it so that we don't have too salty a brisket. So let me get this over to the sink. Just gonna take it off with some cool water. Good. There. Okay. There we are. Bay leaf piece right there. Okay. there's that. Get some mustard on there. Now it might seem a little counterintuitive. I mean, I probably could have gotten away without the mustard, but it's not going to hurt anything. There. Alright, so now that's done. Wear this glove. Just gonna shake our rub on, make sure that it goes on even. Now this is going to be pretty coarse because I did it with the mortar pesto. But I think the texture should be pretty nice. So far it looks really nice. I'm going to get the sides. And this end. So I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to try cooking this fat side up on my cooker today. I've had good luck with the pork, and I want to try beef. In my Smoky Mountains, I always cooked fat side up, but in this cooker, when I did my initial test, when I got it, it appeared that the heat was coming from the bottom up. Now, I don't know, I didn't know what I was doing when I first got it, so I just assumed that was what the case was, but I had a brisket buckle on me, and I never had that happen before, but I think I was having other issues, so I'm going to try cooking fat side up. Okay, we're about 250. I'm going to put this fat side up on the center rack, or on the bottom rack in the center. Now we're going to cook down there at about 225 degrees. We're going to cook it slow today. We've got all day, there's no hurry, and I want to see how it does on the main grate. So we'll get back to you here in about 5 hours when it's time to wrap it. It's noon. I put these on at 9:30. It's on at 9:30. So I scooched it a little bit so that it wasn't directly under the rib. But we're doing pretty good. It's not quite mahogany yet, and then we've got some spare ribs on there that we're cooking. But this is cooking at about 225 on that bottom shelf. So I expect it's going to take a lot longer, just because I'm supposed to be cooking it at 250. I want to see if I can cook it slowly. What ends up happening, because I'm not planning on eating it until 6, so I've got the time. But that's where we are at noon. And, it's supposed to rain today, but so far it's been gorgeous. A little bit of white smoke, but I gotta attend to this fire. We're still dealing with interesting issues with our firebox because our wood is too long, way too long. Let's see what is going on. That's where we're at. Running about half damper today. It's about 75 degrees out in April, so that cleared it up a little bit. Okay, we've got aluminum foil set up here. The pastrami is just about ready to come off. It's been on for about 6 hours. I went a little longer because it's been cooking at a lower temperature. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it in off the cooker. I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to wrap it up. Wrap it as tightly as I can, and then I'm going to put it on the top shelf with the ribs. Up there it's going to be cooking between 275 and 280. Hopefully we'll have this done before dinner. So let me go grab that off the smoker, and we'll be right back here. Okay. So you can really smell the coriander and the other spices. Let's take a temp, see where we're at. We're about 150, which is right where we want to be. So, perfect. I'm going to take this off carefully. And then this is what the back side looks like. So, a little wiggly, but we're going to put it on the same way we took it off the smoker. Put it here. And I have 2 layers of foil down. So it's double wrapped. And then I'm going to wrap it as tightly as I can. I'm actually gonna over one more time. And then I'll throw it back on the smoker. Okay. Now that we got this fat side up, we're going to throw this on the top shelf of the cooker and then cook it until it hits about 205 degrees. And then we're going to let it sit in its own juice. So we're just going to stick a probe all the way through. Try not to stick it all the way through the brisket, and let's get it on the cooker. Okay, we're still cooking about 250. Our ribs are looking pretty good. A little dark on this side. Got a little hot on me. But we're going to let it sit right there. It's going to be about 300 degrees on that top rack as it comes. The heat comes up and over the top. So we should be able to render this out pretty quickly. I'm hoping for another couple hours. I'm hoping to eat by 6. So we'll see. But so far so good. Hopefully we can beat the rain. But these ribs should be done soon too. They're monsters. Everything should finish about the same time. All right. Check you back when we're done with the pastrami. All right, so we've pulled off one rack of ribs. The other one's finishing up. I'm going to go get the pastrami. I think what I'm going to do is wrap it in plastic wrap, cellophane, and let it rest on the counter so that it absorbs all of the juices that are in that aluminum packet. I've never done that before. I want to try it. We'll see what happens, see if it makes it any more or less juicy. I don't see it making it any less, but I want to see what happens, kind of steam it and then we'll make some sandwiches. So I'm gonna take this piece of plastic wrap. I'm just gonna. Ooh, that's hot. Need my mittens. Take this and then wrap it in cellophane. Ooh, it's very hot. This is not an approved technique. Youch! It's very warm. So, just be careful. I can already tell it's kind of juicy. A smarter man would have put mittens on. I am not one of those. So, that's done. Set this over here. These ribs are kind of dark, but they are mahogany red. And I'll go get the other rack of ribs. Okay, we got the ribs done and the pastrami wrapped up. I wrapped it in cellophane so that it steams the meat and reabsorbs the juices. I'm going to let it sit on the counter here for about an hour. And then what you could do is you could wrap it up and refrigerate it and then slice it with a deli slicer or a knife for sandwiches. But tonight we're going to eat it fresh. I'm going to make some hot pastrami sandwiches. So once I cut it up at about 6 o'clock, we'll cut it up and then see how well we did, see what it tastes like. I don't know, I've never done this recipe before, so we'll see. Hopefully it's good. Other than that, the cook was pretty uneventful. Kept the temp at about 250 degrees ambient. I cooked it at 225 on the main cooking grate for about 6 hours. Once it got to the color that I wanted, which was a little bit of a mahogany red, once it got to the color that I wanted, then I pulled it, wrapped it in aluminum foil, stuck a probe thermometer in it, then watched it. Once it got to about 200 degrees, I went outside and I probed it, and it was tender. And once it was tender, we pulled it, wrapped it with cellophane, and we're going to let it rest. So we'll see what it ends up tasting like. Well, it looks kind of like pastrami. Let's take it out. Figure out which way, there it is, okay. Let's try and cut it. Okay, taste it. It's really good. Really, really good. It's fully cured. It's pink all the way through to the end. The rub stayed intact for the most part. Try it.
Mm.
What's the matter?
Like